Good morning. If everyone please rise, we'll call this meeting Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. It's 10:01. This time I'd like to call on Commissioner Beecham for the invocation.
Thank you, Your Honor. A few weeks ago, every member of this court was honored to attend the funeral services for Bob Tillerson, who was a scout leader in our community and went on to be a scout leader in Colorado and other places. Fine family, fine example of what scouting does to prepare families and young men and women to go on and be leaders in our community. With that, Rex Tillerson, our Secretary of State, is an Eagle Scout. Was a very big blessing for each of us. So from that, I'm going to ask Mr. Greg Brownfield, who is our local executive scout leader, to lead us in our invocation this morning.
Please.
Okay, bow your heads, please. Lord, I ask you to bless the young people in our community, keep them safe, keep them mindful, and help them through their studies, keep them physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. I also ask you to pray for our scout leaders and scouts as they are adventuring this summer and keep them safe as their camping experiences. I also ask that you look out for our veterans, our current service members, and our veterans of many wars. Next is I would like you to bless our law enforcement, our emergency service personnel, keep them safe, keep them mindful of the community, and I ask this all in God's name, and in God's name we pray. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very much. This time I'd like to call on Lucas to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the state of Texas U.S. flag. Excuse me, Lucas. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas flag. I
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thanks. Take your seats before I mess up something else.
Hey, Torrin, we're glad to see you. They sent the A-team this morning, didn't they?
I would ask the court to notice that we do have Proclamation Day, but recognizing the Absolutely Incredible Kid Day, which is a national campfire, and Commissioner Watson and I both serve on that board and are familiar with the young man from here that started in campfire at age 5 and now is on the National Youth Board and is the chairman for Absolutely Incredible Kid Day for all of the campfire. And so want people to take special notice of that. March 15th is the day, but any day is a good day to write a kid of 1 to 95 a letter and say, boy, I think you're doing a great job. Just wanted to tell you I saw that and appreciate it. And if you don't write letters well and you email or text or Twitter, it's just letting them know and putting it in a written form. It really gives people a little boost. So we appreciate it if everybody do that. Okay. If I could ask the court to take action on the consent agenda, I do want to make a notation on item number 9 to add that estimate for that computer is for the 78th District Court, and the auditor will take action to put that in the appropriate line. Any other comments on the consent agenda?
Make the motion we approve, Judge.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Waller, second by Commissioner Beecham. Anyone in the audience have any comment or question? Okay, all in favor, sir?
I have a question. On this,
Which item?
let me find it again.
Oh.
I passed it up twice. Right here, item number 2. Is this a chip sealing job, or is this the milling?
It was just
milling.
prep work to pull that thing together. It was after we put in their culverts and stuff, Lee, out there. We reground that road, reclaimed the shoulders, and then hauled millings on top of it, re-rolled it in, and then re-ground it. We ground it twice.
With that big machine?
Uh-huh,
Did we chip seal it yet?
not yet. But
Okay.
it's
So it
one of
said
the
chip
first-
sealing on here, that's kind of,
It's just in prep for.
okay, all right. That's the only question I had.
And all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries 5-0. Okay, we are down to item number 1 on general business is review and approve the regular bills for payment.
Motion to approve, Judge.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Muller, second by Commissioner Watts to approve the regular bills for payments. Any questions on the bills? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 2 is receive presentation by Lucas Brownfield for Eagle Scout project to identify and raise the leveled veteran grave markers in the county cemetery. Commissioner Beecham, I think you brought this to us.
Yes, Lucas, are you prepared to give us your presentation?
A Boy Scout is always prepared.
Always prepared. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lucas, where do you go to school? Old High.
My name is Lucas Brownfield. I'm a sophomore at Old High and a Life Scout of Troop 13. Thank you for letting me speak to you today over my Eagle Scout project. At the Wichita County Cemetery, there are many veterans' gravestones that have sunk into the ground. My project would include the lifting, cleaning, and filling of each stone. With the help of about 20 scouts, leaders, and friends, this should be easy. This work should be easy and well. This work should be easy to accomplish. We will pry the stones up with pickaxes and clean them off with soap and soft brushes. We will shovel the dirt back into the hole and gently place the stones back on top to make sure they are level. After we finish all the stones, we will pick up trash and place 4 concrete benches around the cemetery. I will be attempting to get grants from a veterans group to help offset the cost of the benches. I hope to have this project done by April. This project was brought to my attention through a possible Eagle Scout project. After I went to the cemetery, I realized that this could be accomplished and decided to take it on. This will benefit the community by helping the taxpayers by saving them money so they don't have to do it themselves, and just by cleaning it up and making it look nice for everybody to enjoy.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anything you will need from Wichita County to help you achieve this?
I will need a builder and pickaxes. That's it. Nothing else.
Okay. And when do you plan on starting and finishing the project?
I want to have it done by April. Probably do it between March and April. Right.
Okay. And this will be a weekend project?
Yes.
Okay.
Question?
Have you all talked about where you're going to put the benches out there?
No, sir, we have not.
Okay. How much do you anticipate your cost of those benches?
I looked at them. They were like $50 each, and I was going to buy 4, so about $300 with food and everything else for the workers.
A $50 bench, is it
Yes.
metal?
No.
Concrete.
Seems awful cheap.
Yeah, it does to me too, but maybe they're giving him a better deal on those.
Sounds like that's a low price for a good concrete bench.
I'll look into it because I just saw that and I thought it was a good price.
That
I'll
is a
look
good
into
price.
better ones and see.
Let us review the benches before you purchase them, please.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to look at how to kind of,
How to secure them?
how
Yeah.
to secure them to the
Yeah.
ground, whether,
Yes, certainly. If not, they'll be potentially to be vandalized, and we don't want that.
Will this bring the markers back to ground level? Is that the goal?
Yes.
Because we do mow over the top, isn't that correct?
That's correct.
So that won't interfere, okay.
Yeah, and over time they sink and we lose
do.
track of them, so.
We actually did some of that, Judge, a number of years ago. Do you recall that? We had a work day and raised at some of them, so it's probably that same process we're talking about. They do settle over there.
They do, and we've had various veterans groups do the same
Yeah,
thing and
I remember
try to
working on
compare all that, yeah, so.
Tim, are we not able to set a small budget for Lucas to do some stuff with? I mean, is there a need to do that?
Well, that's part of his project is to raise the funds to do that. And,
Call Lee Harvey, he's got plenty of money, and he'll be glad.
And Mark, I'm assuming you have the pickaxes and pry bars and things that he may need.
Yeah, we should be able to help him out with that as well as any dirt that he may need.
Are those a pre-poured stone, or do they have a bigger footing on them that are gonna require some testing?
It varies from what's out there depending on age, so, but would caution you to be very careful with them, and they are fragile, many of them, so.
might be good to have some spare ones redo.
The type of that we use now.
Because when you go to pry some of those up,
It's possible.
it's real possible they're gonna break no matter how careful you are.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And it's real important they get back in the right place.
Very important.
Now, I'm not sure how you would tell the difference.
I was gonna say, who's gonna dig
They're
them
all
up to
cremated.
check, see if that's
Somebody
right?
would.
Well, we
They're
went
on
through
the
that
plot.
with the Air Force Office of Special Investigations and on trying to exhume and find a body that was buried in the early 80s and never could come up with the right body, which brought back to life a story that body had been taken. There was a child, an infant, and so that started that rumor again. And now after saying today, it'll get going again too. But,
Wow.
yeah. So that's why I'm saying, because I'm going to say with the cremains, there would still be identifiable, probably DNA or something like that. I'm not sure. All right.
Well, I'd sure make a motion, we approve that project.
All right.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Mahler, second by Commissioner Beecham to approve the project of Eagle Scout candidate Lucas Brownfield at Wichita County Cemetery. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, sir.
Hand that to the judge and have him sign that.
Yes.
You know, Judge, I remember when we worked on that project before, and there may be some that are different because they've been over a span of years, but the ones that we brought up were just pretty well regular rectangular
They're
blocks.
rectangular most, for the most.
That's
most
what we
part.
found, if I remember right.
Do we order those as needed? I mean, do
We make them.
Oh,
We
we
have a
make 'em.
brass or a metal plaque, and we enclose them, encase them in concrete.
Talking about government markers, Stanley has to order those, Jeff.
No, on veterans, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, we do the,
The 12 by 24.
yeah, we do the mounting, and I guess they do the inscriptions.
Nancy, would you make us a copy of this for our records, please?
Lucas, thank you.
She'll bring that back to you in just a second. Thank you.
Lucas, thank you, buddy. We appreciate it.
Appreciate your work, thank you.
Okay, item number 4 is discuss and review jail maintenance projects and work orders. Lieutenant?
Due to some maintenance maintenance issues we had going on Friday. I did not send out a report, but the report is the same as usual. We have no overdue maintenance work orders. We don't, nothing.
I thought we talked a little bit last week about you doing those monthly unless there's something you need to bring to the court's attention.
We did. It was just on the agenda, so I showed up.
Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate that. We'll change that, and maybe like the first Monday of the month or something like that.
I'll just check the agendas if it's on there.
Okay.
Honestly, I think we should have a dialogue when you need it. The day you need it, the minute you need it. When you need help or assistance, I think we should not wait till later and get it on the agenda. I think
No.
we should do just like you do. If you need assistance with something, we do it right then. It's
Correct.
Been a good plan.
No, that's just like the sheriff. I mean, something comes up, they need to bring it here. It's going to be an action item to take care of, not a monthly thing of saying,
But and
Yeah.
that's something we do anyways. But
Yeah.
by policy, I'm required to give you guys a report every month on any overdue maintenance work orders. So, I mean, I'm going to be coming up here and giving you guys a report at least once a month. I'm required to do that. And but as far as, I mean, we always talk when we have issues just going on.
yeah.
Andrew, can you share with the court, after you investigated the complaint that I had kind of was griping about, the $300 invoice on the ice machine, can you tell the rest of the guys what you found out?
Sure. Last week we discussed the ice machine work that was done by an outside technician. And the reason it was done by an outside technician is because what I would call miscommunication between the Airmark manager and our maintenance crew took place. Our maintenance guys knew about the issue before an outside technician was called. And they were not notified whenever the new filter mechanism came in. And so before they knew it, it was already installed by an outside technician. And that's why, I mean, we had maintenance work order on it. Everything was done the way it usually is. They just weren't the ones called to do the work. So, you know, but I've talked to Leon since then. It's been straightened out that what needs to happen from here on out. Our maintenance guys, if they can't handle it, they know to let people know if they can't handle it. But that's something they could have taken care of.
Yeah.
But now we're all on the same page now. It's unfortunate that I wish we didn't accrue that cost, but that's what took place.
Okay, did anybody call the vendor and say, get serious, 300 and how much dollars for that?
297.
Oh, okay, not quite 300. 297 for a service call and changing a filter.
It wasn't
Installing a filter.
It wasn't just the filter; it was the filter mechanism. Whatever filter we used to have, they no longer utilize, and so the mechanism was rotting out.
Oh,
That
okay.
was the problem. So
Okay.
they had to come in and install whatever
Okay.
bracket mechanism took care of that filter. So it was more than just a
Yeah, all right.
Now-
Now,
plug in.
that's maybe more justifiable then. Okay.
Couple items, if you would. The panel, the generator panel downstairs, where are we at on that as far
I
as getting it
spoke to
repaired?
David this morning, David T. or Donald T. of the facility maintenance. That's been transferred from Davis Electric to Nunn Electric.
Okay,
Okay, and he will be speaking with them today to find out if we have to rebuild that motor or if we're going to get a new one. So as of right now, that's all I have.
okay. We have staff that checks that regularly?
Yes, starting Friday afternoon, we started training everybody on how to manually move that board from TXU Energy over to generator power.
Okay.
So, I mean, everyone that works in that area that would respond to that boiler room is being trained on how to change that over themselves.
Okay. Get with me after, and let's go down there and look at that panel. There's some things y'all need to be aware of in that panel.
Okay.
Okay, if you would, if you don't mind. And
Is that the auto transfer? not
yeah,
working? Is that what we're talking about?
there's a lot of power in that panel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of power. I just don't want anybody to get hurt, so.
Okay.
Yeah, and second, do I understand that Sprague was without water over the weekend?
It was, just for a
What-
moment.
What was
Well,
the,
I call it a moment, but from about 2 o'clock in the afternoon to about midnight, we had to ration water. We had to give water out. But
was it a problem on our end, or?
The contractor
From-
dug up a line that was going to the fire hydrant.
Yeah, the contractor.
Our contractor?
Shut-off valve.
That's what I was wondering.
Working on side, yeah.
They knocked the shut-off valve off,
Okay.
breaking into the main, and they had kept the main fixed it all, so. They were out there for wee hours of Sunday morning working on it.
Okay, so we won't see a bill on that.
Well,
Should
yes,
not.
we will. Yes, we will.
We did have to get portable
Yeah.
John's.
Oh, okay,
delivered
well-
out there.
Now, what we do with it after we get it, that's.
Well, it
the
all needs to go to
question.
Go
them.
back to the contractor, yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. Any surrounding costs, additional staff time, all of that needs to be
Yeah.
put together and detailed.
Well, I'd already talked to Bobby Yo this morning. He'll be getting the bill, and then I told him we'd process it appropriately whenever he got it in.
Okay, but we need to look at staff
Yeah, we
time,
need to
Bobby,
make
you
sure
know,
we
all
get
of
it
that.
all totaled.
Yeah,
But yeah, we will be getting it, but anyway, we'll go from there.
so if you all had additional people you had to call in that were going to pay for that, then it all needs to be there.
Thank you.
You all do not need to stay unless you want to watch this whole meeting. I know he wants to get back to school, so.
Spring break.
Oh, it's spring break now. Okay, go back to bed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 5 is discuss, consider, take action to approve the purchase of 40-inch LED TV, soundbar, microcomputer with DVD player, keyboard, mouse combo, wall mount with bracket, and required cables at a cost not to exceed $1,125 to be used for training purposes and paid from Precinct 1 supplies and operation as available. And lines determined by the county auditor. Commissioner Beecham.
Yes, Judge, this is for our weekly training for both safety training and just general training. We have a ability to get a lot of training materials from TAC, from TEACS, and other sources, and we really have no way to utilize that, so we are requiring our staff to go through safety training each week and other training, so I just make the motion that we would accept this.
It's just the same thing we got.
Essentially the same thing, it just won't be on a card, it'll be permanently mounted inside Precinct 1.
But what's this internet and NFL package? What is that?
That's for me. That's when I go down there on the weekends. No, it's
Yeah.
just strictly the microcomputer so we can get on things like YouTube and other websites that have safety information that's pertinent. For instance, with our skid steer tractor, there are a lot of training videos.
Man, that thing is so nice.
Yeah.
Oh, my word.
But can you fit in it?
Nope.
No. Okay.
I can get in it, I just can't pull that bar down.
Okay.
Being able to get those off the internet will be very helpful to us. So.
How much more is a cart? Because I'm thinking, okay, if you had that with the ability, if you all wanted to bring 2 or 3 precincts together for something and you rolled it out there in your open area or something like that.
Carts, not but maybe $100 more.
You can get a cart at Sam's. Simple.
Oh, we could add another $150 to the budget to get a cart. That's fine.
I just think that would be, that makes it organized, portable, and,
I have no issue with that.
so we modify that item to add a cost of the cart.
Yes.
Okay. Do you make a motion on that, sir?
Yes, I would make the motion that we move to approve with an additional $150 to purchase a cart as well.
Second.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on that item? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item 6, discuss and consider take action to quote the amount of $3,000 from J. Manasco Roofing Company to repair 5 leaks at the courthouse annex, and if approved, to be paid from 100.516.4452 repair and maintenance of building. Commissioner Mahler.
I've continued to do research on that. I don't have everything I need, but I've got some of it. That roof was done in the year 2000, It's approaching the end of its life, some 18 years later. We're talking about a 20,000 square foot job. In 2000, it cost $191,000 to put that roof on. That roof seemed to be in great shape. We'd not had major problems with it. All of a sudden, when we got rain, what was that, 3 weeks ago? We had a massive leak in the auditor's department. We had several other smaller leaks across the building. And when we had Mike Piper come and inspect that roof, he mentioned that it's getting to the end of its life cycle and probably going to need to be replaced. Going to be an expensive project, guys. It was, up in the $200,000 range in 2000. I would suspect at least $250,000, although I'm just, estimating. But we'll want to bid it, and I just wondered, kind of open the discussion to see what you guys think. We are still researching the warranty on it.
I was going to say, if the roof's under warranty, why are we paying $3,000?
Well, it's a decreasing warranty deal, and I'm still pulling that. I've been searching for it. I found this much of the puzzle, and I've got more coming. I've contacted Harper Perkins. They're going to look on their end, see what they've got. But that's where we are. The thing is,
got to fix it.
yeah, I hate flat roofs. This one's got so many penetrations to it with HVAC and all that.
Well, it has caused a major problem in our auditor's office. I mean, that was an absolute mess.
Well, it don't proceed on auditors.
I know.
It did clean up a lot of stuff, though.
And of course,
Have you been over there?
it seems to always happen.
I'm just saying, it's actually better than it was.
It's on the weekend.
They did a paperwork reduction act.
Luckily, they had people at work working on the CAFR for the weekend, but that would have gone unnoticed until
Yeah.
Monday.
It was
and it
actually
didn't
me,
work.
I'm the one that found it.
Oh, did
Yeah.
you find
Yeah,
it?
I didn't get all my stuff out while water
Yeah.
was still coming in, and then another employee, Corey Weiner, came in about 30 minutes later.
Well, and part of the discussion, guys, is to how do we rock along, and then all of a sudden you have a major incident. If you'll stop and think, we've been through about 130 days of dry weather, extreme temperature swings, like 80 to 0. And you've got movement in that thing, and the profile dries out, and then when you get a big event like we had, that's when they turn up their toes. So, do we approach looking at
Yes.
going for bids, Judge? Is that?
Yeah. I don't think there's any way, don't kick that can down the road.
We're not.
Okay, I'm saying,
That's why it's on the agenda today. We need to start that discussion.
do the repairs
Yeah.
while it's out for bid, because that's about a 30-day process. And
Well, the repairs are started and ongoing. They'll
Yeah.
have those sent up, but I mean, it's not gonna be a long-term fix. So
No,
I
sir.
guess we need to advertise for bids, see where we fit in. I tell you, roofs and heating and air conditioning,
Yeah.
major nemesis for the budget, without a doubt. Do we need to take action, Judge, on that?
Yes, sir, we need to approve the current, and
Yeah.
do you want to add to that and go ahead and,
I'd make that motion, and
And go ahead and go out for bids?
yes. Seek proposals. What do you?
Second.
Yeah.
okay, motion by Commissioner Walter, second by Commissioner Watts, to approve the item as stated and add that go out for replacement bids for the whole roof. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries 5-0. Item 7 is discuss, consider, take action to approve the quote in the amount of $9,485.78 from Texoma Heating and Air Conditioning to replace A2 compressor in the new courthouse chiller. If approved, be paid from $105,1044.54, repair and maintenance building equipment. Commissioner
Boy,
Waller?
y'all are gonna love me today. So, last week, we've got one of the main compressors here in the courthouse. It's a series of 3 compressors. It is the middle compressor in that series. And, it's all started off when the vibration of that compressor broke one of the oil lines on the bottom of it and dumped the oil. And so in fixing that, they told us that that thing is about to come unraveled. That's what broke the line, the vibration in the unit.
Broke it twice.
Broke it twice, and so it needs to be replaced. If we continue to run it in that condition, it's gonna shell, and when it does, it's gonna contaminate the system, and we'll probably take the other two compressors out. So we met with it, Commissioner Harvey and I met with them there, was that Friday? And this is not an in-stock item, and we instructed them to order that compressor, therefore the bill of $9,485, and get it back in service ASAP. That's where we are. I'd make a motion, we approve that.
Second.
He said it was hammering bad. That's not good. If you wash all that material through that system, you've got major problems.
Yep. You'd be buying two more.
Yeah, you'll lose the whole deal. Plus having to flush it, losing all the coolant and all that. So anyway, that's my motion.
All right. You got a second by Commissioner Watts. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7. Item number 8 is discuss and consider take action on a cooperative agreement between Texas A&M AgriLife Extension and the Wichita County. You all received that document. I had sent it to you sometime earlier. Meredith, there's some stuff in blue on it. Is this your? Okay.
Yes, I made the changes that you had mentioned in your email.
Okay. I thought they sounded real familiar, but I didn't know what else. My big concern about this is there's some open-ended statements that it looks like to me they can add to the cost. It even had us, furnishing of vehicles, the way it sounded. This is a very one-sided agreement. I'm not ready to go into this without some changing. We could schedule a conference call, or a couple of us could get on the phone with Meredith. We can call down and talk to Dr. Ripley. I sure understand where they're coming from, but it's just.
Judge, is this the new one that they're asking us to sign?
That's the one he sent out, yes.
Is this one any? And I have not compared it to one of the old ones.
Well, we didn't have much of an old one, if anything.
That might be part of the problem. And I don't see anything in reading this that changed the. It just cleaned some things up. It didn't change the basic understanding that we've got with AgriLife that I can see.
No, it didn't do that,
yeah.
but like I say, it gives some hints to me that if we sign off on it like it is, we could be moved along, kicking and screaming, but moved along. And I want some limiting things in there that would say, here's the current deal. We have no responsibility to do anything else. They always want us to look at whatever we raise our employees do theirs, but they never tell us what else they do. We don't see the other side of the piece of paper. And
I think one of the things that we run into here in the last few years, I don't know that it's a current problem, but there seemed to be some misunderstanding as to who was going to supervise different people, and that became a question mark. And when you don't have an understanding, that can get to be a problem, and we ran into a little bit of that, so that needs to be cleaned up.
I did add some language for that specific issue because I wanted to make sure that, while we could say they could no longer come on our premises,
yeah,
it was still their responsibility to investigate and take any action on any discipline. But that runs into the same problem. We felt that was the problem before. We found something and they wouldn't really take action on it. We were essentially having to do it. So
right.
I don't know that language necessarily helps us.
Well, it's better than not being said at all.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the problem was that the guy that should have been doing that had short-timer's disease. He was retiring, and he didn't want to mess with it. So I think if it would have been different, I think that it would have been all right. I think he didn't want to do it.
But still, there needs to be guidance as to who's going to, take the steps and do it. And I don't know that was even addressed.
Yeah.
And that got to be a problem as well. I didn't know I was supposed to be looking after that, and it'd just be better to have it cleaned up.
In general, that's how we handle all of our contractors with the sheriff's office, in the jail and stuff. We can we can say, yes, we consent to this person coming on to the jail, and we can at any time say they no longer can come in the jail. But other than that, if it's your employment issue, it's your employment issue to deal with, and we expect you to deal with it and report back to us. We're not their employer, they are.
But I'm not sure, I can't recall now that it addresses whether we lay out the things on health insurance, workers' compensation, liability. Those need to be clear. And we fought that battle years ago on a different problem with an agent. But I'd sure like for it to be stated here. It's practiced different, but it's not stated anywhere.
Do they cover them under workers' comp and?
I believe
their
they do,
insurance? We don't provide those benefits.
No, I don't think so, but it's not stated that way,
We
and,
need to make that clear in the
yeah.
contract then.
Just the fact that you have to say, I believe they do, tells
It-
us.
but,
that
yeah,
we don't-
no.
We don't have it where we need it.
I don't know a
Yeah, I
workers'
agree.
comp
I
claim,
agree.
because guys like David Graff, they gotta be immobile before they think they might have been hurt.
Yeah. But you've got exposure because of the
Right.
work
Yeah.
that they do. You
Yeah.
really
That
do.
needs to be clear that they are an employee of the agency, not our agency. We're just reimbursing the state procedure.
Well, see, we're not. That's where, and I'm almost wondered if they wanted whatever we're gonna give them plus 25% more. And I thought at first that was a ridiculous amount more, but by the time you add up retirement and Social Security,
Get all that.
yeah.
Who actually pays their check?
Well, we
We
make
cut
them
them
a
a
check
check.
and they do. They get 2 checks.
2 checks.
Now,
Goofy.
yeah, we used to give them an auto allowance. This year they're claiming mileage and they've got a budgeted amount. So they're filling out the county mileage reimbursement form.
Well, do we need to review this, Judge, with,
I think
With
we,
getting some more
mean-
work, yes.
yeah, but
we're moving in the right direction?
we're moving.
Yeah.
And I'd like for one of you and Commissioner Watts are the ones to work with that department. So
Okay.
if one of the two of you all would work with Meredith and me, then we would get in contact with them. And I'm going to say Dr. Ripley's probably going to have to bring in their attorney on it.
That would be.
We'll need to add some more language to this. What you're saying, probably,
Yeah.
before we send it to them.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, what I see in reading this agreement is that it doesn't specifically, it does not specifically discuss the financial arrangement. It merely refers to our budgeting process.
Yeah.
I wonder why it doesn't have that in this agreement as well. How we're going to handle it. Isn't that the way you read it, Meredith?
should have.
It doesn't
I mean,
address
it can come
it.
with Wichita County in it, so
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's a standard contract they use
I
across
would
the
bet.
county. You know,
But it simply-
agreements they have with other counties.
But it could carry that as a section in there,
That's what I
right?
would think.
And
At
Devin-
least the general direction you're going with that. You might not have to have amounts, but
And we've also done, if you're worried about, one of the terms, I think what you said about maybe having to provide a vehicle, it has some information in there about we would provide equipment and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We can, and what we've done, like with the medical provider, is just say, this is the equipment we provide, anything other than that has to be provided by the other side.
Yeah, and
We can be more specific.
one of the things, who's responsible for all that equipment? The odds and ends, we already went through that with that one agent, having to figure out how to try to get her.
Yeah.
There's not an inventory of that stuff.
Yeah.
Some of it is bought by the 4-H association.
That's
Some
it.
of it's bought by the parents clubs. But who's responsible for it and who has the inventory?
I'm not sure what our inventory is, Judge.
I don't think that's known.
It's more by the leaders. I think 4-H leaders have more control of it than we do, but yeah.
Whatever happened to the trailer?
It was,
back,
it
from what I
went,
understand.
yeah. But the
There were scales, there was a clipping.
yeah, there's shears,
band,
there's,
and-
Well, the scales are at my precinct barn.
Okay. Let's see, we,
Now, when Jill Gann gets time, she's gonna come get them and clean them up and take them back to where they always stored them for 20-something years. I can't remember what,
I think that's Kim and Wayne Cures.
I think that's right. I
Just
think
kind
that's
of
what
a
she
central
said.
area.
Right. And that kids go out there a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we need an inventory of that, just like we need an inventory of our precinct stuff, very same.
Yeah.
But I don't know that we own those scales. It could be the 4-H that owns those scales. Who knows? Who documented what?
Well, that's part
That's
of
the
the problem.
question. Right.
You know, I'm gonna tell
There's
you
stuff
what,
out there
when
we don't
when they
know.
can't find them, they're gonna point at the commissioner's court and say, where are they? And I think we have if nothing else, an ethical responsibility to try to get some control on that, not hamper them from doing it, but at some point, once in a year, you know, that's where the agent, they work with that stuff, they ought to be able to say, okay,
We got this and this.
it's
and that.
here, here, and here, but
I think there's 8 sets of shears. Does that sound right, Jeff?
Lee, man, I don't know, and I would think that the association underwrites a lot of that.
Well, see, that's one of the challenges, Judge, because a number of years ago, AgriLife agent was in control of Crops Committee, Horse Committee, 4-H, and all that, and he or she both actually handled the checkbooks and the funds of all those,
Yeah.
and they cleared all that out of that office. AgriLife said, we will not maintain any of those accounts anymore, and those all got pushed out. I know our Crops Committee chairman has got our Crops Committee checkbook now, and vice versa, and so we lost all the trail and accountability of that stuff.
well,
at that time.
and that was how the agent managed to
Exactly
go and
right.
do that end run for that trailer and some other
You're
stuff,
right.
you know.
And I know for a fact that, see, our Crops Committee owns some equipment, not a lot, but I think we've got some forage cutters and different things that we use for some of our experimental work. But I don't know where there's a list of that or even, where it is, but that's something really needs to be addressed in this agreement.
See, there was a time when we were down at the old 4-H barn by the country club that we kind of had a room,
You stored all that.
stored
Yeah,
all
that's right.
of that stuff collectively in one area.
Yeah.
And when we rearranged, then it kind of
Went away.
became everybody's obligation to take a little. And
And when all that was controlled in that office, we had a lot better
Right.
accountability for it.
Or we thought we did.
Well,
I'm
we thought-
going to tell you, I don't think we did.
I agree.
could we
We had
get,
a system.
could
On
we get
paper.
Devin to give us clarification through payroll, like on the workman's comp? I mean, do you think we specifically back out that salary when we pay workman's comp for the total? It'd just be interesting to know. And then, is there some retirement involved here, or are we paying, or are we funding on their behalf?
Probably so. I mean,
I would bet.
they're considered a part-time, we're paying anybody now unless you have someone, your summer workers that are going to work, if you had them work a period of time, you can exclude from paying retirement on it. But then you've got to terminate it. When you put that period in there, then you can keep them out of that.
Well, that needs to be clarified within a section of our agreement as to, in March of 2018, here was the salary set-outs or set-asides for this position, or these positions.
I would bet the labor standard points that out as to how that's supposed to be handled. I don't know, I would assume they would.
Well, I'm not following you. Why would labor?
As to who's responsible for what, such as workman's comp.
Yeah. Well, that's what we need
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
have
We got a little work to
delineated.
do yet.
And I'm going to tell you, there'll be a number of counties just sign that and send it back and never think about it. And probably nothing's ever wrong, but when it goes wrong, it's a bad time to find out you have a bad agreement.
We've been doing this for 50 years.
Yeah.
So we have a little more work to do, I guess.
Which one of, y'all,
You're the
you two?
liaison,
Yeah, I don't
aren't you?
mind.
You two
And
are
I don't
with
mind
Meredith.
working with it either.
Okay,
Just-
but both y'all are the liaisons.
Okay.
I'm just butting in here.
Okay, good.
So which one of you?
To follow through and set the schedule.
Well,
Well, to sit with,
to
okay.
work with Meredith on the
Yeah,
agreement,
Meredith,
I'll be
the
glad
three of
to.
us work together on it.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'll help you, whatever you need. We'll chase stuff down and get it done.
Did you see Mahler get out of that? He leaned back in his chair and looked at Jeff. Jeff said, okay, I'll do it.
Jeff's gonna handle that.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll set something up. Maybe the three of us get together and get some things. Meredith will wordsmith it, and then we'll send that to A&M.
Do you think that there is some agreements out there that are specific, that have been modified? I guess we wouldn't know.
This one just came out of, this is the price you pay for the 2 lunches they had us to.
Oh.
You know,
Because I just wondered if I could get anything more specific from existing agents that did modify for
like
their county.
Well,
Tarrant County's
yeah.
agreement, because they've got a good group, they may have 20 agents. I'll trade you a roof for a Mr. Harvey.
yeah.
You need to use that master's degree.
Speaking of that roof, you know, we might want to discuss that with the appraisal district and the community
Absolutely.
supervision corrections about, you know,
Absolutely.
Their
They
participation.
participated.
they participated in the elevator,
That's
and
right.
some other things, so, you know, we might ask about that. Because I think at $1 a year, they might want to help out.
Well, I would assume we'd start with Harper Perkins, will we not? Is that
Well, no,
for
okay.
standards, or, I mean,
No, the standards, I'm saying,
Yeah.
when we talk
I
about the
understand
cost
the
of
share,
it,
the
I'm
share,
saying
yeah.
cost share might
oh, I agree.
be in there, and we might even see if Vernon College wants to.
Easy.
Dusty. Don't answer the phone when he calls Dusty.
Dusty just passed out.
All right, item 9, discuss, consider, take action to approve the reduction of contingency amount by up to $13,000 for additional work on the criminal district attorney's office civil division renovations, and authorize Commissioner Watts to approve any future changes that fall within the contingency budget.
Now, this amount is not, we know we won't spend this amount to expedite, I think, what we wanted to get this on here. We know that it's at least $3,500 high. We had a price for all of that trim work, and so we included it in there. We knew we probably wasn't going to do that, and so that's why this number is a little higher than what it's. We know it won't be 13,000, I guess I should say. And
I'll second that, Judge.
Okay. And I was just looking back through these proposals. I looked at them last week.
the only thing, and I mentioned that we changed, and I think the girls, rightfully so, they've done a good job with the color layout in there. Meredith and Maureen, looking through that, I'm afraid that the trim, or why they wanted to par back that trim, it's just a little bit dark for the Regal look that we didn't want to overpower it, so they felt like it was certainly within a modern scope to leave it a little bit at least finished, but not as much dark trim as what we had first envisioned. We put up power.
I was just gonna say, one of the things that initially they always put in a bid for this trim, because sometimes the edge that the contractor does on the drywall and the texturing isn't real perfect, but they did an amazing job of it. And so just having trim along the bottom edge here and not doing the upper two trims saved us quite a bit of money. And we thought it looks really nice the way it is. It's a different color from that to that, so there's enough of a distinction, and it looks really nice without that trim. So I think we can save the money doing that.
Yes, and that money is in the 13,000 covered the other two pieces of trim, and that's what I'm telling you, that it backs out of this number here. And again, that the freeboard between the corner and the ceiling is a little bit deeper, taller in that grand jury area than here. So, but the ceiling looks very nice and is for the most part complete in there. And it just looks swell, and that light gray sets the whole thing off good. Meredith needed data wall in there that we didn't have a plug set for correctly at a height on the wall that allowed it to be hidden by the screen. So we put that in there, and then again I mentioned about that little slide arch that's underneath that doorway down on the end. It wasn't a lot, but it sure made it look finished. Just gave it a better eye appeal looking down that hallway.
With this approval, which is roughly is going to be less than 10,000 because you're getting the credit on the other, what's left in that contingency fund? How much? What was it to start with, and what's left in it?
Meredith, I thought there was $40,000. Do you know?
No, I don't think it's that much.
I thought it was 30.
I thought it was,
The doors were tricky to calculate.
well, and I'll say, I mean, two of the items, one, the plug that's in this item and another door, are two items that we asked for from the beginning, but Harper Perkins just sort of missed. And so, we had put those in our original request, as well as painting the hallway. I mean, along with the trim on that back door is also painting the hallway, which they, for some reason, had accidentally left out of the specification. So, but I think, I want to say it's still around 20 once we get done with this.
Right. And we think this is getting towards the end.
Yes.
We know that we have to do that drywall before this is painted above the marble. We have to fix some of the drywall work, which is not just the regular plaster. It's got that cement.
I mean, they're to the putting the flooring in. They've already installed all the tile in the bathroom, I think, probably by now. We're very close to the end of finishing out that area, and we were talking to Bobby about what could possibly be anything else contingency-wise, and he said once they knock that wall down and start working on the ramp, there really isn't anything they anticipate. So we think we've made it through the items that, were not bid out or change orders.
We would like to get a good look once this ramp starts taking shape and we move some of that wall where we can kind of compare. If we have some funds available, we might want to finish that lobby area at least with a painting the light gray or tying it all together smoother. I just hate it to be brand new and look real old. So if we have some of that, it'd be a relatively easy fix to sharpen it up with a paint job at the minimum.
No, the ramp has to be changed, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's not compliant.
Right, but that's already built into this.
Yeah, and
they're not paying for that.
that's kind of a cap to go on it. It's not a major change. It's not taking it out.
And Bobby, because that was my question, once we take this wall down and you have to finish out the rest of this space, how much, is there more contingency that we're looking at? He said no.
You always worry about some structural deal.
Right.
But no, he thinks that'll be a really simple issue to fix. So I think we'll have plenty left to be able to do something, to match the two ends and do something with the color out in that hallway.
The only part, and I haven't looked at, Meredith, is I wonder if there was some of that drywall stucco that needed to be fixed or
on Judge Butler's end?
In
yes,
Judge
there
Butler's
is very much so on his end.
Yeah. But that all needs to be done. Let's don't leave that.
And I don't think that's much. I mean, to build the arch by to finish out that ceiling at the exit door.
Right.
And refinish, retexture that entire hallway was the $3,000. So you're not looking at a whole lot of money to retexture the wall and get it painted.
Okay, if I'm looking out the east, I'm going to see this nice archway, right?
If you're inside the doors.
Yes.
If I'm looking out, I'm...
Yes.
Okay.
Well, all you're going to see is
a bow like above here.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Into the walls. They're not putting any columns or anything
No.
like that.
Do we want to repeat it
Arch.
on the west end?
Right.
That's
Well,
what I'm
maybe
talking
so.
about. Are we
I think
gonna
we should.
look like socks on a rooster on the west end?
Right.
Well,
You match those two,
I mean,
but still, all of that together, something, is, that line item for that arch includes painting the hallway, so.
Okay, but, okay, starting from where you come down the stairs where the ramp is, are we gonna treat those walls, paint those, or whatever's being done so it blends, it comes in with the
I
rest of
think
it?
we should, Judge.
Oh, I agree we should. That's
Well-
what, yeah.
What's, the hallway where the ramp is, all of that will already be painted.
Okay.
From the break room back.
Everything
all of-
is done
Okay.
there.
From Lori's steps down, all of that will be refinished in this project. So the only thing you're looking at really is from the big stairs going toward Judge
Go
Miller.
east, I
Okay.
mean, going west,
Then
yes.
that
And,
needs
and
to
see,
happen.
like in Meredith's area, I noticed as soon as they started painting, what surfaced to me was the trim above the marble. It looked filthy immediately. I never noticed that before until the paint brought it out, and so, yeah, I'm afraid it's going to make the lobby and that hallway maybe look
Yeah,
a little,
It would make sense to complete that arch on the west end too, so
Yeah.
it all ties together.
Yeah. Now, the exit doors on that east end, are we changing those doors at all, or is there anything?
Just
We're
etching
going to
them.
Put some sort of frosting on them, just so you can't see into them anymore, because that's the grand jury waiting area.
Right, okay. That made me think the doors down by the IT room, we really need to figure out something to make those more secure. Whether it's wire mesh, something over that glass, because if somebody did break in there,
You're talking into the hall.
into the hall by George,
Put one of those metal things like they have in the hallways to go across and lock that are the,
no, because it's a fire exit. I guess you could close it at night and open it back in the morning. That could be done. In fact, that one that, we've always done it that way. I'm not sure why we still are doing those, why we don't maybe move that one that's in the hallway by HR, move it down to that
down
end.
I mean, what was the purpose of having it right there?
Back
It's
then,
for- Well, it's for really when visitation, I mean,
Oh,
when people.
kinda shut 'em
when they're
off
on
from-
Visitation don't wander down the
Oh,
hall.
okay.
yeah. Well, and we used to leave the front doors of the courthouse open, and people came there, the bondsman, it was open 24/7. It was the annex to the Salvation Army and faith mission for people to sleep. It was not good. So,
Yeah, a lot of that security is visitation driven.
so that.
I would assume all of it is.
Yeah,
That's
so
why-
it may be necessary to leave that, but to put something else across the other end down there. But we could do it with simply some sort of the expanded metal,
Something to let the light through.
lets the light through,
If you just
and
block it
you,
off, it's gonna get dark.
yeah, but you could do that and actually screw that into the door. It's just so somebody can't break the glass and get in there. Now, if they're gonna take out the whole doors, then the alarm system's gonna go off. But, okay.
It's the same door that has been there for 40 years.
Okay,
Why all of a sudden is it not acceptable?
why do we
Because
want
they
to
could
arm,
always,
why do we want to arm school teachers? The world's changing, Commissioner. I'm just saying,
Yeah, I agree. I
It's-
don't want to
it's-
have to do it either.
I don't like doing it, but I'm just saying, there's a reason you have to do some of those things, unfortunately. And I think when somebody points it out to you, you can't say, oh, well, it's been okay for 40 years. Well, we didn't have the heart of the county's computer operation in that hallway then, a long time ago. We didn't even have computers. So I just wanted to throw that in while we're doing this.
so we're moving IT over to the new,
No,
No,
no.
what
no,
is
he's
the
talking
heart
about,
of the
he's talking
computer?
about the east,
Oh, that,
the
the other
northeast door,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
northeast door.
I'm just saying it's a vulnerable spot. That's all. And we looked in the idea of maybe trying to do something inside and not do that, but that doesn't lend itself well to that. Okay. Mr. Watts, you want to make a motion on to approve this item as it?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the item in the contingency amount up to $13,000 for additional work and
For you to be able to prove any changes up to the.
yes.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Watts, second by Commissioner Beecham to approve the item as stated. Any other comments in the audience? Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. They're still on time to finish that online?
Yeah, he hadn't had any bumps on the road, and any time he could speed up, they have, and part of their plan was a plan to go ahead and circumvent some of this waiting and move into that ramp area now. So, but I do think as quick as we can identify what we want to do there, when that wall starts moving or changing, the quicker we can do it while we've still got them in place, and to avoid any, hey, we got to leave and go to this job.
No, I'd get that in works today.
Okay, I'll call Matt and
No,
get him to.
and you know, if you're staying in that contingency amount, you can go ahead and approve it.
Okay, good deal.
And surely to God it'd stay in there.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. Any comments, anyone in the audience? Yes, ma'am, Kate.
I have a couple questions that are not relevant to the agenda today, but hopefully it's okay. I was just wondering first, what is the criteria for items being placed on the consent agenda versus the general business? Because sometimes it seems like there's really not any, there are similar items on one on the consent agenda and then one is not.
Generally, the items that go on there, one, if there's going to be a purchase that's out of the ordinary, it will go on for discussion. If it's a personnel matter, changing salaries, making some adjustment there, they go on there. The honest answer is, it's a lot of what Nancy and I feel. Now, the person putting the item, bringing it forth, can request it on the consent agenda or on general business. But the responsibility to make that call rests with me as the presiding officer of the court.
Okay, I was honestly just curious.
Yeah,
and,
I don't blame you. I am too sometimes.
And
I look at it and go, why did I put that there? I said, yeah, okay.
But they're all, we can discuss all of them. That's the key.
Yeah.
So.
Or we can ask to bring them down into regular
Yeah.
business if we have a question.
And my other question is, I was just wondering if the court could enlighten me about the role of an elections administrator and if the county is, I dug up an old news article where you were discussing possibly having that, and even Lori was interested at that point in having that role. Is that something that the county is still interested in, and is that a full-time job, or does that person just work during the elections?
It's a full-time job. You create it. The court doesn't control it. I like having the person I go to right there responsible. And I had been a proponent of the elections administrator one time. After watching how that takes place in some other counties, I'm not for it. I thought one of our neighboring counties, Archer County, did an interesting deal. The elections administrator is also in charge of indigent health care.
So what is the role? What is their role as elections administrator specifically?
They are in charge of all elections. They are also the voter registrar. Okay. They're in charge of all elections, and it takes it out of my office.
Okay, I was just curious about why that. I mean, I saw that discussion in the past, so I was wondering if it was still something that the county was.
Well, during the discussions, I'm like the judge. We thought that was a really good idea. We began to research it because ultimately, the thing that bothered me about it is that in many ways, it would leave us with the responsibility at the end of the day with that thing with no input or very little input, less than we do now. Not that we run the elections now, we don't, but as the judge said, we've got somebody here if we want to ask questions, they do come back and report to the court. And it was, to me, it was a move in the wrong direction. So,
because there's a committee then hires the elections administrator, supervises that office, determines. Now, I don't think they can set the salaries, but they submit a budget. But to me, the buck always stops with Commissioner's Court. And even though we have independently elected officials and everything else, we are still expected to have a good working knowledge and influence on the operation of that office for the best continuity of government. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Beecham?
I have nothing, sir.
Commissioner Harvey?
Inheritance.
Inheritance adoption was Thursday. The inheritance adoption banquet was Thursday at Grace Church. Ronald Reagan's adopted son, Michael, was very entertaining, very personable. I think Commissioner Baller and him are fixing to go to the kitchen and look for a fat cook or something. It was really good.
And we found him.
It was really good. That was one of our larger menus that we've done. We did fried fish, shrimp, grilled chicken, loaded mashed potatoes, and deep fried green beans.
Yeah. And the chicken was excellent.
And the chicken was really, really good.
What was the cholesterol count?
I think Michael Reagan come up with something about everything. What did he say? Everything's fried, or
yeah, he came down the serving line. We were visiting, and he came by. And first thing I did was introduce him to Chief Borrego. He said, "You mean the police chief is cooking?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Good night to rob a bank in Wichita Falls." He's really personable.
He was a character.
And he also said he always liked to check the people that are cooking and feeding when he goes to events, because he said if he can find a lot of, well, I'm going to say big people in the kitchen, he knows it's going to be
whatever.
He was a hoot, though. He came around and introduced himself and visited. He was pretty funny. He's still got a syndicated radio show, I think.
On a more serious note, which is it's always hard to do, but our state representative James Frank mother passed away Friday morning, and I believe she'd been ill for quite some time. And I don't care how prepared you think you are,
you ain't got one.
You lose your mama.
That's right.
That's so tough. And prayers going out to Representative Franks and his family. This is a tough time. Tough time. His brother, his mom died that morning. His brother is in the hospital trying to pass a kidney stone. So it's just like a double whammy.
Rough time.
Yeah, it's a rough time. Everybody pray for him.
I've known his mom since she was married to Bill Browning, and my mom was secretary for Bill when he was a lawyer. And so now James and them were enough younger. I didn't know them.
Right.
Oh, that's too bad. That's sad. That's also former veterinarian DPS trooper Billy Browning's mother. I think I got that all right. Yeah. So, well, that's sad to hear.
Yeah.
Commissioner Mahler.
Good meeting this morning in our representative's office.
Congressman.
Congressman. I'm sorry, I said representative.
House of Representatives.
That's right. Anyway, on the BLM problem that we've been struggling with a couple of years, Commissioner Harvey and I were both there, along with several landowners, and Michael Seeds with Mac Thornberry's office briefed us on it. Here's where we are, just a quick summary. There may be some movement on it this week. There are several routes that this can take. If it is approved in the omnibus appropriations bill, which is supposed to come up on Wednesday, then funding will be included for the survey that we need to move forward on this thing. And if I understand it, Lee, and you correct me on this if this isn't right, we don't have to worry about the House version and the Senate version. It'll move forward. It'll be funded. It'll move forward, and we should be able to get it done. Now,
if it comes out Wednesday.
Yeah. The big sticking point in this thing, BLM had decided that they were going to renege on this and basically walk away from it. But in doing so, they would be giving the land back. And here's the deal: they are credited with $30 million because they're talking about 45,000 acres. Well, we disagree with that. We think there's about 3,000 acres involved. But if there's 45,000 acres, they've got that thing valued at over $30 million. When you do that, they've got to find offsetting value to balance their books.
They don't want money. They want land. They'll trade you.
You can't just give away the land you've got to offset it so they can balance their I didn't know that's how it worked. That's
Well,
how it works, so that makes it difficult.
The Appropriations Committee only listened to the Department of the Interior whenever the guy guessed that there was about 45,000 acres there, which they valued at about $30 million, which is wrong.
We disagree with that.
Absolutely. We did a little, Pat Canan is our person on the, I guess it'd be the lawsuit that did the research. He thinks there's more like 3,000 acres. Well, that's a tremendous difference in 45,000 and 3,000. And so we have to get it surveyed so we'll know what we're arguing about, you know? So that's the big push. Senator Cornyn has been working really hard with his appropriations people, and Mac Thornberry's been, or Michael Seeds has been working with their appropriations people. It's a different bunch. And so hopefully this omnibus bill comes out Wednesday. Hopefully that it will be included. If it's not, Congressman Thornberry's bill has already passed the House. Senator Cornyn is working diligently to get it to pass the Senate. And once it passes the Senate, or if it passes the Senate, then it will be approved and they will have to appropriate the money for it.
If the president signs it.
Yes. Well, yeah.
The good news is that they're identical bills, so there'd be no conference committee.
Correct.
Which, when you get in conference committee, you know what happens.
They change.
We tag a bunch of stuff on it. It creates problems. Now, there's two things to be concerned about, however this goes. If we don't get movement on it pretty quick, either in the omnibus appropriations bill or by passing the version in the Senate and getting this president to sign it, you look down the road and two things could happen. They really expect there is a possibility that we could have a balanced Congress change in the midterm elections, which come up in November. If that happens, it is traditional. In fact, statistically, they would expect the power to shift and that the Democrats would take over control of the House. That's been the history. Historically, that's what happens. If that happens, and I think they said there's 26 seats that are in play. If that happens, then you got problems. You're not going to get much of anything done. If you push it on over till you have a possible administration change, you get in the same situation. That's why timing is of the essence to get this thing done, get it done now. So we got two shots at it. But a good meeting, good report, and I think we got a chance of maybe getting this solved once and for all.
Okay. Commissioner Watts?
We've got the project out there. I noticed Donald and Pete had met with TxDOT this morning, kind of going over a game plan to move some of the material out south of Texon Fertilizer. And I think they've all visited. All the foremen, different foremans have talked about looking at that and seeing what TxDOT had planned and maybe inputting. But they met today on it to get an ideal, and then we're going to try to move some material tomorrow just to get a feel for it and stockpile that rock over to one side. It's just going down the street a little ways to Dwayne Purse's. There's some drain ditch erosion going on. The water district had found a home for most of that.
That's an absolute blessing. Thank you, Water District.
Yeah. So anyway, that's
it's all going to depend on what they dig up.
Yeah.
And nobody really knows.
No, we don't know until we've got a dozer over there and we can push some of them hills. Hopefully, that's going to be a lot of dirt. We're hoping more so, and we hope it'll separate what is not that we're aware of. What has to happen, maybe y'all can give me some guidance. I still have the great owl sitting on me. I've called twice, urging them to get that off of what's not my property, cemetery. And, I mean...
Have they paid you for it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well then...
Who bought it?
That old fella over here in Junker off of, kind of lives around Mesa, down in that area.
Well, I mean, can you call him?
I have his contact.
He has.
I've called him twice.
And?
Oh, they're coming. That very week, they're coming. And that's been going on since the week after the auction.
Well,
Because everybody, pretty much the week after the auction, cleared out.
Right.
And I just want to get the
I think
cemetery
you
clean.
may need to talk to Meredith, but I'd get him notice that if he doesn't remove it in X number of days, it will be picked up and impounded, and then he'll need to settle with somebody else.
Okay. Yeah, just send a letter to that regard.
Well, double check with her, but I think
Okay.
that's all you have to do, is send him notice that it's been past a reasonable time. He has 5 days to get it moved, or it will be impounded and removed, and he'll have to settle up with whoever hauls it away. Okay, anything else, sir?
No, sir.
Judge,
yeah.
congratulations to our neighboring Bowie Jackrabbits on
Oh,
state
yeah.
Wow,
championship
yeah.
on Saturday. They did a
Yeah.
great job.
Well, somebody's winning up in this area.
They
So.
should be, and they won it.
Okay, I do want to remind you, we have a very important Commissioners Court meeting, Wednesday, 9 a.m. is payroll. It's
Very
9 a.m. Did I say 9 a.m.?
9 a.m.
What is it?
9 a.m.
Now, is that daylight savings or is that Central Standard? My clock in my office is correct again this morning, Judge.
Good.
I wrote it out.
Lee Harvey's is wrong again.
I wrote it out.
Okay. Okay, Friday at 10 a.m. We'll have the normal bill session and staff briefings. Anything else?
Well, this is on my, oh, crud, I don't care about that.
Okay, then we don't either. 11:17 and we're adjourned.
There was some on my calendar for that day, and I clicked on it. It's somebody's birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
Wednesday.